these competencies play out in our own lives, how they have an influence in our work, in our relationships at home, in school, and so on. And I think aligned with that very much is this idea that the longitudinal research has shown these competencies to be incredibly important in predicting a range of outcomes, whether it's in school, at work, or more broadly in life. So on the academic side, for example, we know that social emotional competencies are predictive of students' their academic outcomes, so grades, test scores, likelihood of graduating on time at both the high school and college level. On the career side, we know that stronger social emotional skills are associated with a greater likelihood of being employed, greater earnings, greater financial stability over time. And then on the health and well-being side, we know that stronger social emotional skills, an individual with stronger social emotional skills is less likely to struggle with issues like obesity, depression, substance abuse, mental health disorders. So there's really a powerful range of lifelong outcomes that are kind of associated with these social emotional skills. The breadth of this research and the depth in terms of some of these studies being 30-year longitudinal looks at students over time, or young people becoming adults, I think is really compelling. So we know from the longitudinal research that these skills matter. We know that from our life experiences as well. It's also interesting to look at some of the national survey data to see, for example, that 95% of teachers believe these skills matter, that they're teachable, and 88% of teachers tell us that they're already doing something in their classroom to try to develop students' social emotional skills. Right? So this isn't new. We're not starting from a blank slate here in schools. This visual is just meant to give you a little snapshot of some of the types of interventions that are being used in schools today. And these categories aren't entirely mutually exclusive. There's definitely some overlap here, but it's sort of an illustrative view. So for example, on the left side, we know that some schools are sort of approaching this work through discrete interventions. Some of these are developed by folks like PERT's research group out of Stanford that is developing interventions that can be deployed online at scale and direct to students without having the teacher sort of be the one to deliver the intervention. That's one method. Other schools are really thinking about their behavior tracking and behavior management systems as an intervention in and of themselves, right? So schools that are using positive behavior intervention and supports, PBIS approaches, think about that as a way to set explicit norms for behavior, to celebrate appropriate behavior, and to have clear, specific consequences when students depart from those behavioral norms. That in and of itself can be thought of as a social emotional intervention. I think in some ways positive, in some ways negative, depending on how it's used in the classroom. Other schools and districts that we know of are really approaching this through the lens of teachers need more professional development. Ultimately, all this social emotional, support should be integrated into the academics component of the school day. And so really it's about the teacher training to be able to integrate that effectively. So folks like the new Teacher Center are offering training and coaching to really support educators in developing the skills they need to work on social emotional and academic development simultaneously. And then finally, I think probably the best known approach in the social emotional space is probably these comprehensive programs, ones like Second Step, Paths, Responsive Classroom, Ruler, Open Circle. A lot of these programs have sort of a comprehensive curriculum, a scope and sequence for each year, each grade level. Often they come with a lot of teacher PD. Sometimes there's sort of a school climate or culture component to build community around the school alongside the social emotional development piece. What we know about these comprehensive programs is kind of mixed. So there have been a number of studies, some meta-analyses showing that collectively these types of interventions have a strong impact on academics and behavior. But we also know that there have been other studies done that have very mixed results, saying that some of these don't have the impact we're looking for. Some of these haven't impacted student behavior, social emotional skills, academics, or really any of those outcomes we've been looking for. So that, for us at Transform Ed, is one of the motivating factors to say it's really important to bring a data-informed approach to this work, right? There's so much that we're doing already in classrooms, and not all of it's working. So let's be clear about how we're going to figure out what's working, for whom, and how do we invest in that.